Welcome, everyone, to the Paranormal Pride. We are in the Nut House tonight. So, just in case you hear a lot of noise in the background, there are 4 grandchildren running through the house right now with 2, grandpa and one of the dads watching them. So it's going to sound like hell recreated in my house very shortly. So don't be surprised if I have to run off with some kid. My guest tonight is Natalie Kreider. She is a paranormal investigator that lives out near St. Louis area. And you guys may remember, I had her on, I think, the Paranormal Nation radio a few months ago, and we had a great time. And I want to say hello to Cassie and Judy and all those who have been watching the drama of me finding a job. I know Friday was my last day. 2 weeks is my first day. I already got a job. So I'm either that good or that bad. I don't know. I mean, apparently my name is around the telecommunications world, so I got a job. And I also got a few other things with that is going to make my life and my family's life so much better. So thank you all for everybody who said your prayers for me for my interview today. I appreciate it more than you know. So that's the good news. The other good news is Natalie. She is an excellent person. I think you guys are going to love her. And so come on up, Natalie.
Hello.
I should have said, come on down.
Right. Woo.
So now you got to follow that great news, but it's better than following bad news.
That's true. That is true.
So, and I also want to say happy wedding to Rosalie and Paul. I loved being at your wedding on Friday. It was so much fun. So I know that you're listening and you may not be in chat right now, but I know you're there, and happy wedding. And I always remember your anniversary. So weddings at the beach. What can you say? So thank you, Mom. So hi to everybody in chat. And if anybody has any questions as we're going through this, please feel free to ask, because that's what this is for all of us to learn together. Mm-hmm. So Natalie, I know since we've had you on before, we know some stuff about you.
Yeah.
We were talking about that you do tarot card readings and oracle card readings. What is the difference between those?
So the easiest way for me to explain it, oracle are guidance cards. They're very generic in the messages that they give. It doesn't necessarily give specifics or really narrow down necessarily on one particular thing. It's more of something is coming up that you need to be aware of. Just be aware of your surroundings, things like that. Whereas tarot tends to be a little bit more direct. There's a little bit more information as like what factors are affecting what's going on, things that are going on that you may not realize right now, the outcome, what's happened, what's currently happening. And it also depends on what kind of spread you do, because if you do just a single card, whether if it's oracle or tarot, it's just a very generic type response. If you do a 3-card spread, it's past, present, and future. And then from there are different layouts, different patterns that you can do. You can do the Celtic cross. You can do a Brit. You can do all kinds of different things. So it depends on the question that's being asked, what you're wanting to know, and just how in depth you'd like it to be.
Okay. So what is the reading that's requested by most people?
Most people, depending on if they're doing oracle or tarot. So oracle normally is there something that I need to be aware of? Or is there something coming up like I have a job interview, am I going to get it? Kind of thing. Whereas with tarot, it's going to be more of the situation at hand, based on your question. But tarot tends to give you the answers that you need, not necessarily the answers that you want. And that can throw people off when they get their readings because they're expecting lollipops and sunshine, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're like, hey, there's a situation coming up. There are people that you think you can trust that you cannot. You need to watch your back. Things are coming down the pipeline, like you need to be aware. Or unfortunately, your relationship is not going the way you want. They are doing something that they shouldn't be, and you need to protect yourself. Those are the kinds of things that sometimes come across in those readings. Sometimes they're good things, like a brand new job, like what you've got going. Other times it can be health complications. It depends on the person and what it is that they're wanting to know.
What is the most asked question? At least for you.
It's either, will I be getting a job, or am I going to be in a relationship with someone? I think relationship and love are like the key ones right there.
Well, technically, a job is a relationship.
True, but
most people don't look at it that way.
Most people don't look at it that way. But yeah, and that's just it. Like, sometimes you can ask a question and the card will come up, and when you first look at it, you're like, oh yeah, this means a relationship with somebody. But in reality, a relationship can be something entirely different. It can be a friendship, it can be a job, a new business venture, it can be various different things depending on what card was drawn.
Okay, I've heard that if the card is pulled up upside down, that it means the opposite of what it would.
Can have a reverse meaning. Oracle, for me though, it has the same general meaning clear across the board. It doesn't necessarily up or down. Tarot is where you see more of that reversed meaning behind it. Oh, sorry, my cat's trying to knock everything over. So
I don't know anything about that.
He loves the camera, so he'll be making his way in front here in a minute.
One of three will be here shortly, I guarantee it.
But when you get a reverse card, it's going to signify different things. It can be you see things one way, but maybe it means the opposite. So normally maybe the card represents wisdom, and in reverse, maybe it is hidden factors that you're not aware of currently.
So it's not that you're stupid.
Yeah.
Or ignorant. Yeah. Ignorant. That would be more.
There are different meanings for everything. It can be there's a new opportunity coming, or a beginning of a relationship. This is the most common way. There's a beginning of a relationship, a new relationship, but it can also mean the end of a relationship. So the most common card for that would be the death card. People automatically think that when the death card is pulled, that it means you're going to die, and that
no, it just means the end.
It means the end. The circle of life, the way that things go, there must be a death in order to be reborn, and one door closes, another opens, and that's something that
I'm living that life.
Yeah, exactly.
I can think. Do you read animals with tarot cards? Can you?
That's a good question. I'm sure there are people out there that probably can. It's not something I've ever tried to do.
I think there's a lot of money in it.
Probably. Artemis. Maybe. Hold on. There.
Mine looks just like it, and her name is Keela. Is yours a bitch? Is yours a bitch too?
Yeah, Artemis is. Hold on. Here, Artie, say hello to the people. There he is.
Yeah, once Ron gets in here, we'll get Keela over, and you can compare and contrast.
He's my familiar. He's my baby. He chose me. I had tragically lost one of my cats, and he was a stray living outside, and all the cats were terrified of us, and he must have been maybe a month old, and he ran right up to me, and he was glued to my hip ever since.
He said, "Get me the hell out of here. This is more than enough." Keela's a rescue. Well, technically all my cats are rescues.
Same.
So, Cassie asks, what about readers who read the card out of the book that comes with the deck?
So
What are your thoughts on that?
There's nothing wrong with it, especially when you're first starting, because you're learning what the cards mean. And tarot is a lot more difficult, in my opinion, because there are so many different types of wands, cups, swords, different things like that. And then you've got all the major arcana. It's a lot of information to try and hold and collect. So there's nothing wrong with learning and looking through the book. But not everything in the book is going to be what messages you're receiving. Sometimes for me, I'll draw a card, and what I know the card represents isn't necessarily the message that I'm receiving. So there's been times as a medium where I've been doing a reading for someone, and sometimes a loved one comes in. Sometimes I receive messages that way, and maybe they're not quite the way that the cards are showing. So I still give that information that I'm receiving. And sometimes it's my interpretation of what I'm reading.
And that's what Cassie says. She'd rather hear an interpretation based upon the art or the intuition of the reader.
Mhm.
I know that, just because, it says one thing, regardless, it could mean something totally different. And the interpretation, okay, let's liken it to the dream books.
Mhm.
These dream books try to tell you that this, if you dream this, it means this.
Mhm.
It doesn't. It what meaning does it have to the person that's having the dream
Is up for
or the
interpretation.
person are being read? That's where it makes a difference, because it has to mean something somewhere to someone.
Mhm.
Is it possible that the reading that you're getting is for the next person that you're supposed to see and not the person who's sitting in front of you?
So if you're sitting down, especially if you're doing more of a tapping session in that sense, where you're communicating with the other side in the process of doing this reading, sometimes it is kind of like a crowded room. Different people who want to communicate. So it's really a matter of receiving the information. And that for me, when I'm doing a reading and I'm receiving that, there's a few different things that happen. I have the person in front of me. I have what the cards are saying, but then I also have what I'm receiving. And sometimes it takes me a moment. I always feel like it is the longest pause in the world when I do, but I am processing that information and what's being told to me, and then trying to relay what it is that I'm being given in a way in which they're going to understand.
It's not only that, sometimes the information is given so fast that you can't even get it out.
Yep. So a lot of time, and I assume on this front, but I always feel like when I have that break and I'm mentally aware of it, it feels like it's forever. But I feel like some people look at that when people are doing readings and they think that they're just trying to come up with something, that they're trying to fish. Like they'll throw out something generic and then see what your response is, because there are some people who do that. But that's not the case. It's more of all that information is coming in at once. In the paranormal field, when we're doing an Estes method, we're listening to the spirit box. Sometimes it takes a few seconds for us to go, okay, this is what it said, and then kind of piece it together. It's the same thing. The only difference is that you're not hearing what I'm hearing.
Right. So, what has been the most interesting message you've given someone?
Oh, there was a lady I did a reading for a couple months ago. Um, every time I do a reading and it makes the person cry, I feel terrible. I feel absolutely terrible, because I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing my job right or if I'm doing it wrong. But this lady I was speaking to, she had a loved one recently pass away. And when I was talking to her, I was explaining, I go, there's this male who's here. he's saying, I love you, it's okay, it's not your fault, you can move on, I'm okay, and that I'm watching you, and I'll make sure that you're okay. What I didn't know at the time was that about a month ago she had been in a serious car accident, and her dad was with her, and he perished in the car accident. It was him coming through to tell her that, it's okay, it's not your fault, because the accident wasn't her fault. It was a drunk driver that ended up hitting them. So it's one of those that you're relaying a message, and it's something that you have no knowledge of. So you're not really sure if it's going to make sense or not. But she just broke down and she started crying, and she's like, I needed to hear that. She goes, I've been really in a depression because of what's happened, and I feel like it's my fault, and I haven't been able to move on from it, and it's caused suicidal ideations and things like that. She goes, I just haven't been able to move past it. And he was letting her know that it's okay, that you can. So when I gave her that information, and you could just see the weight just lifted off of her. Like, she just relaxed, every muscle in her body relaxed, and she just cried. And after she cried it out, and she's like, okay, I feel better. I feel like I can do this. And after that, I never saw her again. But it was in that moment that I was able to relay that information that I would have had no knowledge of. And to see her reaction, that's the reward out of all of it. To be able to give somebody that peace of mind or that message because they want to hear from a loved one, sometimes that's just what they need.
We had the second time we went to the Sally house. So this was a long time ago, probably 2011, maybe even 2010. So this is a long, hell, you were probably 12, it was a long time ago. We went to the Sally house the second time there. We had brought our dowsing rods and our equipment and all that. Got there 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we stayed there until they closed. Okay. We were walking through the house, and we were letting people utilize our equipment and all that. This was before they used to allow that. They used to only allow cameras and, maybe dowsing rods. That was it, So this lady asks me a question, and she goes, is my dad here? And the second that I picked up the rods, it went to yes. And she wanted to know some things. So she asked them, I said, don't ask questions that I could know the answer to. I said, that's the first thing. I've never met this woman. Okay. I never met her. I said, make sure you ask questions in a way that doesn't automatically become yes every single time. Ask it in a different way, and ask questions to start with that only you know the answer to. Okay. And so she did. She asked a bunch of questions, and she got to where she felt like it really is my dad. And I was like, okay, I have no clue. I'm just holding the rods and interpreting. And she said, I didn't want to do it. And he said, yes. Are you mad at me? He said, no. And then she said, do you care if I do what I've been talking about? And he said, no. And all of a sudden I had to tell her, I said, he just wants you to be happy. And, I don't know anything about this. And that she broke down. And I said, well, what did it mean when he said that he was happy that there was no plug? And she's like, I had to pull the plug.
Mm-hmm.
It was me. I had to do it. And she goes, and I felt like I did the wrong thing. And she goes, but the question that I asked, he decided that I was right. It was the right thing to do and everything. And it was his memorial that she had asked about, if he was okay with it, and he was. She'd also asked him some questions about where his life insurance policy was and all that. Well, I found out a few weeks later her mother worked at the dry cleaners in the town that I worked in. So I stopped in and I checked and I said, "Did she find it?" And she goes, "It was right where you told us he said it was." I was like, "Okay." But they left the house crying. And I felt so bad that I knew that I had to find the dry cleaners, because all she said was, "I work in the dry cleaners in Gardner, Kansas." Well, there's only so many things in Gardner, Kansas.
Right.
So, and now there's 0 dry cleaners in Gardner, so good luck. But, it happened to be the one behind the Waffle House, which no longer exists. But yeah, I was able to get to her and find out that everything that we'd done was right. And I mean, I just couldn't believe it, because, at that point in time, I'm thinking that most of these people that do this stuff, that they're not legitimate. How can you know? And that's when it's like, I've been seeing stuff my entire life, but I hadn't really taken it to the level to where I was reading stuff. I always knew when I was going to get let go. I always knew when something was going to happen in my family. I always knew that somebody had passed before I'm told. Things like that. Always done that, including this last time. I knew I was being let go. I just didn't know when, and where it was going to happen. I thought I was going to get called while I was out one time. But still, it is what it is. But yeah, it's kind of weird. And then I don't
It's
know.
not to say
I
that
still don't
there's
know how I feel about it.
It's still not to say that there's not a lot of people out there who aren't legit. I mean, anything in the paranormal, or really any field of interest, you're going to have people who are authentic and you're going to have people who are not. And the paranormal sees that extremely heavy. You've got investigators who are serious and they're about the science and helping people, and you've got other people that just want the views and ratings. Same thing.
It's the same in business.
Yep.
There's always okay, everybody's going to love this. It's South Park. They were right. It's always between a douchebag and a turd sandwich. Sometimes you have to figure out which one you're more closely aligned to. It goes for presidential elections and sometimes people that you work with.
Yep.
But there's always at least one of those in every group. So one of my things is there's never enough Indians and always a lot of chiefs.
Oh.
And sometimes as a chief, you have to know when to be an Indian.
Very true.
And in the paranormal, everybody wants to be the chief.
Yes.
And it can't work.
Something that I've learned over the years, both as being an Indian and now being a chief, is sometimes, even though you're the one that's in charge and the one that's calling the shot, sometimes you need to listen to the Indians, because they're going to see things from an entirely different perspective. And when you're somebody who is always in control and always calling the shots, and it's exactly what you want when you say it is, and not stopping to take the time to listen, especially if you're a team, can really affect the way that things work. And that's something for me, even I've been having to learn, is not being impulsive on decision making and being more inclusive.
And a smart leader surrounds themselves with smart people. And sometimes people who don't see things exactly the way that they see it. That way you get diversity of opinion and diversity of result. So, see, why do you think I got rehired already? I'm smarter than I look.
Right. And
April, she makes a really good point here.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Without your team.
Okay. No, without my team, there's a lot of things that wouldn't have been accomplished. You know, I rely on my team heavily for their input and their opinions and to make things run smoothly, because doing it a one-man team isn't always possible. And when you have more people to help, you have more eyes, you have more opinions on what's going on, and it kind of helps piece everything together.
Yeah, like I said, April here has a good point. She doesn't understand how spirits communicate through divination. Can you explain that?
That's a tricky one.
I know.
With divination, there are different things at play, and a lot of it comes down to your beliefs. Everybody is going to have a slightly different way of how they look at it. A lot of people that believe when you're doing card divinations, what you're doing is the cosmic energy, the universe is influencing in which how the cards are drawn and how they're laid and used. For me, when it comes to the spirits communicating through them, it's more of, for me, when I'm actually receiving messages from those spirits versus the energy that I'm reading with the cards.
Oh, hold on one second. He's doing DoorDash. Okay. Which is why they're all here. No, timing was horrible on this, but so hey there, Crystal. It's good to see you.
Yeah, I think it's the energy that we read from the cards. When it comes to the spirits communicating, it's the messages that are being imparted through us and to us, not necessarily the cards themselves.
So as you can all see, I have helpers tonight. That is little Nolan back there. He is my little grandson, Hellraiser. His favorite character is Chucky.
I have a life-size Chucky doll and Tiffany doll on my front porch from Halloween right now.
We have a 3-foot Jack Skellington. Ruby's birthday is next Saturday. This Saturday he'll be 6. So we're having a birthday party on Saturday with Jack Skellington. And so, question for you: Nightmare Before Christmas movie or Halloween movie?
Technically, it's both, but I claim it as a Halloween movie.
Okay,
it's both, but
I told Ron not to put Jack Skellington up because he can go from Halloween through to New Year's.
I mean, you've got those 12, 13-foot skeletons that one day they have all Halloween and the next day they have a Santa hat on their head. Anything can be made into a different holiday, but technically, Nightmare Before Christmas, the universe in which it's created, has Thanksgiving, has Christmas, has Easter, because when you get to the doors that lead to Christmas, they also have the other holidays. So technically the universe is all of those holidays, but most known for the Christmas and Halloween.
Of course, everybody wants to talk to me right this minute. So oh, hey, family visiting tonight. Tell everyone I say hello. That's my sister Donna. Almost everybody in here is a family member. So welcome, family. We're having a family reunion on here. But my brain just went. But today we were listening to the news and he can't stop. We were listening to the news and these people are charging $550 to read your pet. Okay? To read your pet and for you to tell them how their pet feels. So thus the reason I asked if you could read pets with tarot cards. I'm thinking a business, we just share it 50-50. We just go in there and we read their pets and we just tell them what they need to hear. Your cat really wants, they want mice. They want the free range mice. So
Yeah.
let your house get infested. But yeah, $550 to
One,
read
that's
your pet.
outrageous. That's an
They have
outrageous number.
they have 7,000 people waiting to be read.
Yeah, clearly I'm in the wrong line of business now.
Yeah, so now you're sitting there going, pet tarot. That's where people will pay almost anything for their pets.
I mean,
And I'm
my
like,
tarot cards are cats. Does that count?
yeah, Cassie, this was on Fox Business today. Fox Business.
That's
Yeah.
insane. Okay, so I understand animals being able to communicate. That I don't disqualify, because there are times when my pets will come up to me and I know exactly what they're thinking and exactly what they're trying to communicate to me.
Yeah.
But that's more through an intuition than it is, divine intervention. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Now, with that being said, there was a recent situation. So, disclaimer for the paranormal world, I am not necessarily a fan of Ouija boards. They should never be used on an investigation, especially private residences. Disclaimer that right now. With that being said, there are only 3 people. I had 4 fingers, 3 people that I will actually sit down and use a board with, because I trust them. There is a process. There is a correct way of using it, to open it, to close it, to cleanse it, everything. And it has to be done a certain way. Otherwise, I don't touch it. So this past Samhain, Halloween, we sat down and we used the board. And we had some interesting things come across. Family members, situations that no one else knew about that were being departed. And it's one of those where you're extremely skeptical because you don't know who's on the other side. But we had several of our pets actually come through and communicate, and to the point where the names were spelled out. I had a rabbit. I had a bunny. His name was Jasper, and it's spelled out carrot.
Mm-hmm.
I had a cat named Zelda, and it's spelled out white, and she was a beautiful white cat. We had Bella. We had almost all of our animals actually come through, which for me was a first, because I've communicated with human spirits, non-human spirits, but I've never actually known or heard of pets coming through. And the first thing I thought was, well, pets can't spell, so how are they communicating? So what I found interesting about it was that some of the words, the letters that were being displayed, didn't quite make sense because the lettering was slightly off. But with one of the cats, it tried to spell meow, but it was spelled differently. And we go, do you know what you're trying to spell? And it says, I don't know. And it was things like that that were coming across. So that was a first for me. I've never actually had animals communicate through a board. And I didn't even think that was a possibility, but the experiences that we had that night were very much so. We had an urn that we brought down with the ashes of one of our pets, and we had a spirit box going at the same time. And it came across, and it was, it spelled out Pharaoh, which was his name, that he was black cat, and it kept saying, I love you. I love you. And all the animals did that. Every time it was, I love you. I love you. But then my dad, he goes, Pharaoh, I love you. I love you, buddy. And the spirit box came across and it said, Michael, which is my dad's name. And then it said, I love you. So it was just the way in which it played out, which was unique and interesting. So there's never a way to say 100% sure that that's what we experienced. But from our experience that night, definitely opened my mind to the possibility that maybe animals can communicate through that way. Maybe just because we don't associate them with physically being able to communicate doesn't mean that they're not communicating with us.
I know that I've had one of our cats had been killed by somebody, either somebody's dog's coyote, something. It was drug off our porch. And we only let her in every once in a while.
Mhm.
It was more of, she was a wild cat. So once it got really cold and the fleas were all dead, we'd let her come in the house and she'd sleep at my feet. And for the longest time, I felt that cat at my feet,
Yep.
but only in the wintertime, never in the summertime. And so it was one of those weird things. I know that she was trying to communicate with us by laying on my feet, doing exactly what she'd already done. One of our cats, I took one of my cats to the vet one day. Funny thing is we came back and the other cat was sick. The cat that we thought was really sick and we thought was going to die, still alive. She's getting ready to die now. She's like 16.
Mhm.
But that cat, as soon as we came home, we noticed something was wrong. We turned around and took her to the vet. She died the next day. But what was funny is after we got home, all the animals, we had a dog and 2 other cats in the house. They all came up to me and sat with me when I came home.
Mhm.
Not only that, I heard her meow.
Mhm.
She wasn't there. I didn't bring home her ashes. I couldn't, I mean, it was bad enough I had to make this horrible decision.
Right.
So it is what it, it is what it is. And Cassie, we experienced uh, ghost cats at the Sally house in the kitchen. You could see this cat, you could see this woman's dress move like a cat tail, how dresses flow and the cat tail when they're walking by, they always put their tail up. You could see her dress move from the tail of the cat.
We
Um,
we had 2 cats, and we had gone on vacation for a few days. We had somebody house sitting for us, and long story short, the cats ended up getting brutally killed
oh,
in the house. It was 3 days before we were able to get home, and the individuals that were there didn't bother to clean anything up. So it was a very traumatic situation to come home to. Um, we have all of our pets cremated, so they had to be put in the freezer until we could take them in to get taken care of. And we came home and we stripped the bed and everything. We were trying to clean everything up, and we had to go to the laundromat at midnight so that we could wash the sheets because they were dirty. And I was sitting there on the bed just completely distraught over what was going on, and my other half was walking towards me, and for a brief moment I saw our white cat Zelda walk right behind him, and my breath just got stuck in my chest, and I went like this, and then I just lost it. And he's like, "What's wrong?" I go, "I just saw Zelda. She was behind you." And that night, we could feel, because at that point we didn't have any animals in the house, we could feel them get up on the bed with us. And you could feel the bed, the indents on the blanket. And I had the pressure, like one of them was sitting on my chest, and I had just the little, like the kneading that they do. I had that going on my chest, and it was just absolutely overwhelming. But I'm here with you still. And that was really hard for both of us. It was a very traumatic situation for both of us to go through. But to this very day, their spirits have followed us every time we've had to move, and they're still here. We'll still see them or sense them, or our other animals will sense them when they're nearby.
Yeah. Susan says that she's seen her cat that passed it. She sees it every now and then. And then April said her son said a dog came in his bed more than once. And then also that her cats see ghost cats and dogs. And if anybody's wondering what the funny face I made was, it's Sour Patch Kids. I love chewy candy, and if I see it, I'm going to eat it. And good, bad, or indifferent.
Twizzlers are my go-to investigation snack.
Mine too. I love Twizzlers. I can eat a whole 2-pound bag. In fact, when I was pregnant with one of my kids, I think I ate a 2-pound bag every week for 36 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, but that's not saying. I mean, at least it wasn't 2-pound bags.
Count your blessings.
Yep. I wasn't diabetic with that kid. Yeah. And Crystal says her friend has seen her pup that passed away. So I think I don't know. There's sometimes where I wonder if it's wishful thinking.
Sometimes.
And other times, is it truly? I mean, right after we bought the house, we were still in Kansas City. Well, Lewisburg. We were still there. And we had to put down Kiki right after we got back. And I'd always told Ron, I said, we're not moving to Florida with 4 cats. I said, I can tell you that now. I said, we're not moving with 4 cats. And one time we had 6 cats. And I said, we're not moving with 4 cats. So I always knew that we weren't moving with all the cats. It just hurt like heck. But again, she meowed at the house afterwards. And she hardly ever meowed. So it's unusual to have heard it. But I told Ron, I said, I knew who it was. I knew right away that it was Kiki and not Kimba. The kids tell me, all the time that they see different cats in the house and stuff. And I'm like, we didn't have that many cats. We had Katie. As you can see, you don't name a cat with a K in my house and expect it to live. We still got Coco and Keela, and we have D now. So I got out of the letting them name the cats to match.
Yeah, we've got Harper, Sterling, and Artemis. But in exactly that situation, though, like sometimes without knowing that something's going to happen, because it was the same thing. We had a cat named Simba, and he was a rescue also, but he had feline leukemia when we got him, and we were treating his symptoms with CBD oil for cats, which actually gave him a little over a year more than what the vet told us he was going to live, and it really did help with his symptoms and everything that he was going through. But when
sorry.
No, you're good. When we were living in our old place there in Kansas, he went downhill pretty quick. And that was my other house baby. That was his cat. And that was a really hard experience, but it actually worked out in the end because that's how Artemis came into the picture for me. But because of my medical conditions and stuff like that, Artemis is actually registered as an ESA, an emotional support animal. We weren't able to do that with the others. And when we moved, that was the only thing that allowed us to be able to bring all 3 of our cats, because they would allow 2, but Artemis was the 3rd. But because of his license and the medical documents from my physicians stating that he was in fact used for my health, we were able to get past that, and he was actually able to come with us. But had we had Simba, we never would have been accepted into where we're living now.
So see, you said Simba, I had Kimba.
Yep.
Yours is because of the Lion King. Mine was because of Kimba the White Lion. It was a cartoon when I was growing up, which the Lion King is based on that story. that on the same story, but mine was in the 60s.
So Sterling, like the fish, Sterling, um, he has a sibling named BT, which stands for Big Tuna. And I'm like, why are we naming cats after fish? Why?
My kid's dog, his name is Tuna. He's here. And then his sister's name is Peach, as in Princess Peach.
Yep.
From Mario Brothers.
We have
and
Harper.
all the puppies. Yeah, all the puppies that they had got named something with food.
Harper, which is Sterling's mom. Harper, her nickname is Harper Harpoony. Like a harpoon. So I thought it went perfect with the fish because of a harpoon in the ocean. So we kept with the theme.
I'm not theming anything anymore. I'm not even theming my beach house to be a beach house because it's not at the beach. Even though if you ever come to my house and you're looking for my internet, it's called Beach House. But this is as close as I'm getting.
Right. We're
living at the beach. Yes. Well, if it's a really bad spring, you're not.
No, we turn really into bad an island.
I know. So been there, done that. I used to live down the road. You had that in 95. You had that in 93.
We also had it in like 2018 where it flooded.
Again?
Yeah, it flooded really bad. And if you were in Jefferson County, which is where I'm at, there was no way out because all the rivers had completely covered the roads. You couldn't get to the city. You couldn't get out of the city. You couldn't get to Illinois. You couldn't get back to Missouri. It was terrible.
We used to live down in Blytheville, which is, right there on 55, just in the part of Arkansas nobody claims, near the part of Missouri nobody claims. So been there, done that. The Mississippi River, we lived like 6 miles from it. It was in my yard. I had to jump over from the top step to the it was only 3 feet. I had to jump and that was it. If it stopped in my yard, I'm like, of all places for it to stop. That was back in 82, 1982. I was in Blytheville. And so not fun, finding out that you got beachfront property when there's no beach anywhere near there.
Right.
So, did you experience any bad weather like that in Topeka?
Not really.
You weren't there very long.
I was there for a year. So our first week in Topeka, we almost had a tornado hit us. In fact, I have a picture that was taken just down the street from us of the tornado.
So when we moved here,
of me standing outside the front of our place watching. Storms.
The day, so we got here on Saturday or early Saturday morning with the truck. Sunday morning, we're 11 o'clock. We're taking the truck back. I'm driving down the road and the kids call and say, "Mom, there is a tornado warning right now." Okay, right here where I live. And they said, "Take cover." And I'm driving down the road and I can't see a shitting thing. Nothing. Only thing I can see is trees and stuff going everywhere. I don't know exactly where I'm driving. I just moved here. Ron's in the big truck way ahead of me. I can't see him. So I'm looking off the side of the roads for this big empty truck, seeing if the wind blew it off. And my kids call and I'm listening to them and I go, "I got to go. I'm pulling off the road." I didn't, but I told them, "I'm pulling off the road. I'll call you when I get to your dad. I'll call you." So there's all these warnings going off on my phone. Apparently Ron's too. He's already there. He's already at the U-Haul place. I'm looking for him. And as I'm driving down the road and it's like, leave effing Kansas because of tornadoes and all this other crap. and I get stuck in a damn tornado in Florida. I managed to make it all those years living in Kansas City area, because we lived in Kansas City, Missouri, we lived in KCK, we lived in Lewisburg, all these places for 38 years, never was in the middle of a tornado, ever. And as I'm driving through all this stuff, I'm watching trees and stuff fly past me and all. And, I should be calm, but I wasn't. I had driven through a couple tornadoes in the past, but didn't know they were tornadoes until later, which makes a difference.
So when we moved to Kansas, there was a tornado that first week. The day we moved and we're in the middle of unloading, a tornado came through. We had just gotten the last bit of the stuff inside, and the tornado came through. A week later, we had 3 tornadoes touch down in the area and flip a semi truck in front of my work on the highway.
And was that in Topeka or was that in
here in St. Louis? Yep. We had one in Peevely, one up in St. Louis, and then one in Hillsboro that hit. And the one in Peevely is where I was working at the time, and it flipped the semi truck right in front of work.
Yeah, I remember seeing that you moved. I was like, I told Ron, I said, I wish we could help, but we can't. And right. I don't remember when it was that you moved.
We moved in April.
That's why we were here.
Yep.
We didn't move here yet. That's when we bought the house here in April. So you moved right around Easter.
Yep. Yeah, we, let's see, April 1st. We left technically on the 31st of March, but April 1st is when we moved into the new place.
So it was a week before. So yeah, we were getting ready to leave.
Yep.
To come here to look for houses.
Yep.
As you can see, we found one.
Right. Yeah. We did too.
So
we had less than a month to find somewhere, pack everything up, and move it.
We had we had 3 months.
Yeah, we had less than a month, and it was total chaos. But me moving back was because of family. My stepmom is battling stage 4 gastric cancer. So I moved back to help take care of her, which thankfully she's been going through treatments and drug studies and stuff like that. They managed to reduce almost all the tumors are gone except 3 main ones in her stomach. But she has improved by 30%. And they said that if there is no growth or anything within the next 6 months, they will consider her in remission.
Oh, good.
Yep.
So we'll keep her in our prayers.
Yeah.
So
she's the reason I'm in all this. She's the one that taught me everything I know when it comes to the paranormal. So
were you having paranormal experiences when you were way younger? Is that why you're in?
I've always been sensitive to the paranormal. I grew up with a spirit in the home when I was a kid. I just didn't get that full immersion into it until I was 11 years old when I came to live with my dad and my stepmom. And they were running a paranormal team, and that's how I got my start. So I learned everything backwards. I learned how to do evidence review, PR, anything and everything that required before the investigation and after. I did the research, history, and all of it. So by the time that I was old enough to actually start doing the official investigations, I knew everything. So then when that team finally, our family ran team disbanded, I started my team. And then that's where I'm at now.
Hey, Carl, can you take over for a few minutes? Thank you. Carl's going to come in and he's going to ask some questions, and I will be right back. I promise.
Okay. Let's see. So you started your own paranormal team.
Correct.
And everything. How long ago was this?
2014.
2014. And how many members are on your team?
We have 7 currently. Most of them are here in Missouri. 2 of them are in Wichita, Kansas.
Good. So, see if Denise is back yet. Nope. She's off to running again. Well, that's great.
Carl.
Yeah, I know. So, with your paranormal team, do you go to haunted locations or do you mainly do private investigations?
We do both, though mostly we focus on private resident cases. Currently, we're working 2 of them right now. So those are ongoing investigations right now.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, how often do your team members from Wichita get down to you?
With enough planning, they can be here usually within like 48 hours. We've done a 12-hour turnaround one time for an investigation that was interesting to say the least.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. So, let's see, what else can I add? And how long have you been using the tarot cards?
So I was 13 when I got my first Oracle deck. And then it's been within the last 3 or 4 years that I've started learning tarot. Oracle just kind of came naturally for me. Tarot has taken a little bit more. And I feel like it's just because there's a lot more to it. A lot more.
What's the difference between them? I don't know that much about tarot cards or the oracle cards or anything.
Oracle's more for guidance, whereas tarot is a little bit more direct. It kind of gives you different layers to the situation.
Oh. And Donna wants to know, do you ever read cards for your family?
I have. Yeah. Usually every time I go visit my mom, she's always asking me for a reading. It's a lot easier to do a reading for somebody else than it is doing it for yourself, because you're kind of biased. So sometimes you're kind of like, I want the answer to be this. So I kind of pre-program myself to think that that's what it's saying, where it's a little different when you're doing it for somebody else.
Right. Right.
But I do like to make sure that I know as very little detail as possible. I won't ask you what it is you're wanting to know about. I won't ask questions or anything. If at the end of the reading you want to say something or tell me what it is that you think it's about, you can. But I want to go in as blind as possible so I can make sure that I'm giving you the accurate information, not the power of suggestion.
Okay. So I understand correctly what you're saying is if I'm a customer and come up to you and I have a question for you, I don't ask it. I just have you do the reading.
So
is that correct?
Sort of. So what you'll do is you'll take the deck of cards and you will shuffle them while you think about whatever it is that you're wanting to know about, whatever your intent is. And then when you're done, we have what's called cutting the deck. So you can cut the deck in different pieces and then you restack them in whatever order you think is right. Then you hand me the cards. And from there, I will do my spread.
So you never know what I'm thinking, the question I am, until after. Oh, okay. That's interesting.
I feel like they want to tell me right off the back. And I mean, I can't stop you, but
well, most people come up and go, okay, I want to know, am I going to be a millionaire in a year, or something along that line.
Right.
And stuff. But no, that's interesting that you don't have them ask you the question and you go through it.
Correct.
That is interesting.
Mm-hmm. And, and even with readings like this, like I told Denise, I do a reading for her. Doing them virtually is still an option as well. Even though you're not physically putting the energy into them, I am putting my energy into it and I am doing the energy work for that person and then able to do the spread that way. So being able to do it both ways. Everyone has a slightly different opinion on if that's accurate or not. For me, I keep it very general because I don't know what your question is. I don't know what it is that you're wanting to know about. So I, at that point, put my focus and energy into the universe, the cosmic powers, whatever might be, to help me relay the message in which needs to be given.
Oh, okay.
So sorry, everyone.
That's all right.
The grandkids, the 2 left, and the other 2 that were left wanted to to hang out with them. Yeah. What? Yeah, well, so that's what happened. They were all saying goodbye, and it was horrible. So, oh, and we left everything, and they left nothing. That's always fun when you're looking for the phantom stuff that nobody brought. So, that's how it goes. So, thank you, Carl, for filling in. I appreciate it. So we've got about half an hour left or so. So, what kind of reading am I going to get?
So the cards that I have are my tarot. In this case, my cat tarot. This is actually my new deck. So I'm going to break them in by doing a reading with you. So I'll feel special. I'm going to move my keyboard, though, because it's going to get in the way.
Yeah. Hey, Donna, I'll get back to your question here in a minute.
I can answer it if you want to do that.
She just wants to know, do you compare yourself to Teresa Caputo?
No.
But he does.
No, I know.
Nobody does.
I don't like to compare myself to anybody, to be honest, because I'm just me. I'm not anybody else. I don't try to portray or follow in the footsteps of somebody else. I just kind of go where life takes me. Sometimes new opportunities arise, and kind of like reading tarot, it was something that I was kind of thrown into doing. It was something I was working at a metaphysical shop, and a lot of the customers that were coming in were requesting that. So I started picking up and learning how to read tarot a little bit better than what I knew at the time, so that I could be able to provide that for them. And it's kind of taken over because now I read Oracle almost like I do tarot. And it's totally different than what it was like 8-10 years ago when I started doing Oracle.
Well, that's good. You know, that it became something that you could make friends with. Really, I mean, that's really the whole point, is sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and even if it's just the one person that I'm able to give them closure or peace or guidance that helps them better themselves, it's worth it.
Okay, well, I know what my question is not.
You already got the job, so I don't need to ask that.
Nope. That's the only thing I'm going to say. That's the only thing I know I don't need to know.
What you should have done was wait to announce that till after the reading to see if it came up and said that you had the job.
Well, the thing is I knew Carl was waiting to hear, because we had talked this morning while I was trying to get everything set up on this different computer, because that's why I look different on the computer. It's a good thing that we did, because I was having trouble with the computer again. So, and that's how I knew that my phone was working, was, he'd sent a message and all that, and then somebody else called. So it all worked out. So, he talked to me, maybe, we hung up, we stopped talking about 5 minutes before I got the phone call for the first interview.
Very nice. My keyboard fell. Okay. All right. So are you wishing for a single card, 3-card, full spread?
You tell me. You do what you want to do. It's the same thing I tell my hairdresser. I have no clue. You just you figure it out.
The pressure is on. All right.
Thank you, Donna.
All right. I got a very small computer desk to try and do this one.
Yep. I'm getting a new one, so because mine is it's good size, but it's still too small.
Okay. All right. So I did past, present, future, 3-card draw, and then I drew 3 extras for a little bit more information. So we'll see how this one goes. All right. So the first card that was pulled for your past, got to be able to hold this where people can actually see it. The Page of Wands. So this is referring to your most recent past. And this is surprises, new information and opportunities coming your way, which I'm pretty sure we already know what that's about. Let's see, which one is this? This is... Okay. So this one is this is your present. And this one is embracing new opportunities that have I can't help what they're saying. New opportunities that are coming to you, that it's okay to embrace them, that it's okay to accept what is coming your way, that it is to better yourself in the long run. The Knight of Wands, though, is your near future. Don't get caught up in your head in the clouds, because it's easy to get wrapped up of, oh, yay, I've got something new and it's going to give me opportunities and I'm going to be able to do this. And you need to be able to stay grounded and bring yourself down. It's okay to daydream, but be realistic about it at the same time. The King of Pentacles. Try so you can see this.
Yeah, an orange cat.
Yes, orange cat. Don't overspend. Just because you have money coming in, do not be making any fast investments. Do not do the splurging like, oh, let's go out to eat. Let's go do this. Let's do that.
I have him. That's not going to happen.
Be wise about how you're investing.
Yeah, we're not splurgers anyway, so that's good.
So usually I say that one is within the first 1 to 2 months from now, when things start kind of falling into place and income is coming in and it's steady. Don't overindulge. Just be mindful of how you're doing things. This one is the Cups. 2, 3, 4, 6 of Cups. This one's the 6 of Cups. So the Cups represent emotions. So with this one, it's easy for your emotions to run high sometimes. It's easy to be emotionally invested in something. And in this case, wisdom and knowing how things turn out, knowing the pattern that keeps repeating itself, don't get caught up in it. Be able to keep your mind clear, your emotions in check, because something new is great, but what goes up must come down. And then the Ace of Pentacles. This one is about accepting what is being given to you. In this regards, what I get from it is that somebody you know, and this I usually put 3 to 4 months out. Somebody you know is going to be offering you an opportunity. They're going to be offering you something that you might be a little hesitant to take at first. So just be mindful, make sure that you think through it clearly as to how you want to proceed. Is this opportunity something I want to get in bed with or not? Weigh your options to be a little bit more certain. And this one. So this card kind of rules everything. And this one's referring to money. Everything is centered around finances.
Why do you think I got a job so fast?
I know. I can't help what the cards say. You have a lot of good opportunities coming your way. You have a lot of financial stress that's going to be relieved from the situation. And it's okay to embrace that and let this be part of that journey that you're going on. This is not the final destination for this. This too will have its time. But there will be more to come later on down the line. And each time that you've transitioned into something new has allowed you to grow and expand and to learn and to gather wisdom that's going to prepare you for that next step and that next opportunity.
Yeah, that's true. All I can say is that every time I've been
you got the
basically reduced to nothing, you know, that's how it feels, you know,
Yep.
when you're walked out the door. No matter how good of a job you did, you always feel like it's your fault. And it doesn't matter. You know it's not, but you feel like it is.
Yep.
And every time I've gotten up, wiped myself off, got a better job the next time around. And, you know, I always looked at everything as if, you know, hey, it's still better than unemployment, or hey, it's better than zero, you
Right.
know. And I did not count on calling somebody last Wednesday. Well, I guess a week ago Wednesday. And then finding out that I got the job today. You know, I didn't expect to be told during the interview that I was hired. You know, you don't ever expect that. So I thought that was a great opportunity, and the lady who's going to be my boss sounds really nice, and it is doing something different. Something that but it's still something the same, something I used to do years ago. So it will be a learning experience. And where you said about the part that, you know, what goes around comes around, same, different company, same systems, and it will go around and come around and things will repeat itself. But where you said the keep your mind open part, I do have to do that, because just because it's the same doesn't mean it's exactly the same. So
we're all like snakes. We all shed our skin, and in order for us to grow into something new. And sometimes that shedding process is brutal.
yeah, and sometimes you find the skin in your Christmas tree in the garage, and you wonder how in the hell did that happen.
I have to go through my garage tomorrow to get my Christmas decorations out. I don't want to know what I'm going to find in there.
It happened to us a few times where we found snake skins in our Christmas tree.
Well, I mean, if they're black snakes, they're good because they get rid of the rodents. And
yeah, I don't know what kind. It was just a snake skin. That's all I know. It had shed it, and we didn't bring any Christmas trees with us. But I don't know. I need to find a palm tree Christmas tree. Is what I need to find.
We finally got a white
Christmas and purple. It's got to be purple.
We did white this year. My other half has been dying for a white Christmas tree ever since he was a kid. So he finally got one this year.
In my let's see, it would have been my fourth Christmas and Donna's third and Judy's first. We had a silver Christmas tree. It was an aluminum one, and I still remember it to this day. My grandmother loved the aluminum Christmas trees. She thought that they were the best things ever because they were shiny. You didn't need many lights. You didn't need any tinsel. The whole damn tree was tinsel. You know, you didn't have to throw all the icicles on it.
Right.
One at a time. One at a time. And then you didn't have to take them off one at a time when you went to put it away.
Yep.
But I will say, when we did the tinsel back in the day, I didn't mind it on the live trees because we just threw it all away. So, but yeah, we haven't had, I think this Christmas tree, we have a little white one. And cats climb them. Do you have that problem where your cats decide they have to climb the tree?
Yep. I was yelling at mine earlier today for chewing on them.
You already got your tree up?
We do.
Or a tree?
Okay. Like I said, my other half has been wanting a white Christmas tree since he was a kid, and he finally got one this year, and he could not wait until after Halloween so he could put it up. Normally we wait till after Thanksgiving, but he was just biting at the bit, so he got his Christmas tree early.
Well, considering that he's had COVID again.
Twice. Okay. He's had it 3 times this year. He had it back in January. And then we both got it a few weeks ago. And then like a week or 2 after, he got it again. And we're like, how? Why? Seriously? And that's being vaccinated and everything.
Well, I hope he feels better soon. And the bad part is, yeah, the bad part is the vaccination doesn't mean you won't get it.
Right.
They say you just won't get it as bad. I don't know. I didn't get vaccinated. And
the first time he had it, he had what's called COVID tongue. And he had these blisters all over the inside of his mouth and everything. He couldn't eat. He couldn't drink. He was miserable. And then this time that we both had it was just like allergies. We didn't even realize that we were dealing with COVID because it was just stuffiness, runny nose, sneezing. And then this last time he had a fever of 101.3. So I had to take him to the hospital. And that's how we found out he had COVID again.
I'm so sorry. I hope he gets better soon. And I guess if he went back to work, he's better enough.
Yeah, because it was, I think before when COVID first happened, it was like you had to be out for like 2 weeks. Now it's out for 5 days, symptom free, and then you have to wear a mask at work for 5 days, and then you're fine.
Where is he? Well, I'm not going to ask that question. Never mind.
He's at Walmart. He works for Walmart.
Oh, okay. Well, then that explains why I've seen some people with masks on at Walmart. Even down here in Florida, people are wearing masks. But I don't see it often, but I also don't leave often. What gets me is the people that are wearing masks on the beach. I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't know. When COVID first happened, there were plenty of people who had a mask and then they'd like cut out a little hole where the mouth was and where the I'm like, that defeats the purpose. Just don't wear a mask then.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
I'll tell you, in Kansas, if they required one, I had one. If they didn't, I didn't.
Well, I've worked in the medical field
you had no choice
before. Yeah, so I had no choice. I had to get vaccinated. I had to do all of it. And let me tell you, I ended up doing the Pfizer. That first shot damn near almost killed me because I had every symptom, every side effect, and then some. Like, I don't even know how I managed to drive home that day. And it was bad. I had 3 days of being really bad off. And then I got the second shot and it wasn't as bad, but it was still rough. And then by the time I had the booster, it was fine.
Well, we all have opinions on that, and I'm not going to get into mine. I don't want to get our show taken off the air.
Right. Right.
So, and everybody's got to do what they need to do. Yep. And that's the way I said it the whole time. You got to do what you need to do.
Either I got it or I was fired. So
I know. And there's a lot of people that are now suing their bosses for that kind of, their companies for that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So, but My company did the same thing. They told us, you either get this or you have to get an exemption, and I got an exemption. I work from home. Why am I worried about getting
Right.
people I work with sick? And I had one person tell me, "Oh, you're going to kill your grandma." I said, "Well, that's fine. She's already dead. I don't think it's going to make much difference to her, and I'm not going to be hanging around your grandma, so it doesn't matter." You know, and I am the grandma,
And I
and
understand people who have like autoimmune diseases. I'm one of them. I have health complications. My stepmom's going through cancer. Like, I understand the precautions. My grandmother just got over lung cancer. So, people are good to know, Susan. There are, some things I understand, but it's no different than if you have the flu or anything like that. Like, any respiratory illness
Mhm.
can put anybody at jeopardy.
Yeah. And it doesn't even matter if it was, you know, my we had people ask me, "Why aren't you getting the shot?" I said, "I have a heart condition." My my cardiologist said, "I don't think you should." But my pulmonologist kept yelling at me and saying, "You need to get this shot. You need to get this shot." I said, "You know what? Both things could kill me, but my heart will kill me faster."
Mhm.
I
My
said,
other
"I
half,
get this shot, I'm guaranteed."
my other half isn't vaccinated. I am, by not by my choice, but he's not. He didn't agree with it, which was his choice.
Yeah.
But he's ended up with it 3 times in 1 year. Never
Mhm.
any other time since COVID's been around, but he just happened to get it 3 times this year. And then, even with me being vaccinated, I still got it. So I'm considered a breakthrough case.
You're not a breakthrough case, you're the norm.
Right.
And that's the bad part. So, again, everybody needs to do what they need to do for themselves,
Yep.
and just know if you get the flu shot these days, you're also getting a COVID shot, so make sure you check what's in basically, keep track of what's in your food, you
Right.
know? You need to know, "Hey, this is where the stuff is hidden," and yeah, like Donna says, stay home if you're sick, wash your hands, do all the things that you're supposed to be doing anyway, and just remember people are still dying from the flu.
Yep. There
So,
is, I don't know. No job should force you to have to do something with your body that you shouldn't have to. And I know that's a tirade all of its own.
yep, that's why I had the exemption. My exemption was God said my body is my temple, and I don't think that he would want me to put this in my body, and, um that was my reasoning, and I got my exemption, but again, it was also under the premise that I work from home and my job would always be work from home.
Right.
So, I wasn't putting anybody in danger,
Right.
and so but on top of all that, we during COVID, okay, did you investigate during COVID?
Yes and no. Yes and no. It declined rapidly from doing investigations. We were very limited on what we did. The amount of people that we had going on investigations. Now, if it was outdoors, didn't
Mhm.
matter. You could safely distance yourself from everybody outside. But if we did like a private case, we kept in mind, we wore masks to, make sure that the client was satisfied. There wasn't any risk there. Um, the amount of hand sanitizer was ridiculous. But you do what you have to. It's a job. And if you're trying to help a client, the last thing I want to do is, one, to put their health at risk. But two, if you're going through something paranormal and it's to the point where you're having to live in your garage or you're having to live in a hotel because you can't be in your own home, I'm not waiting for COVID to disappear before coming in and helping you.
Yeah.
If I have to have you removed from the home so that I can then go in and do my job, then I'll do it that way. But we do try and make sure that we take every precaution we can. And now things are becoming a little bit more relaxed. So we're not having to worry about that quite as much anymore.
So, did you think that during COVID there was more or less paranormal activity being reported?
To be honest, I don't think there was a change, at least not on my end.
Okay.
I
Because I know
think,
that for a lot of people, they just realized their homes were haunted when they were in their homes more often.
yeah, I think the reaching out for help increased, but the amount of activity that was already going on, I don't think changed. I think people were just more subconscious about it.
Well, I am going to thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. It was so much fun catching up with you. And I am so happy that you got moved safely back in May. And hopefully the next time we're in St. Louis, we can ring you up, because we will be coming back to St. Louis at some point, since Ron's family still lives there. They didn't all move with us.
Right.
And so, Donna, there is no room at the inn. Not here. Still too many people in my house. But I'd like to thank everybody for listening and asking questions and being here tonight. And I hope you guys will all join us tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Central on Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal, right here on Born TV, on Facebook, on Rumble, on wherever it is that we're going to be presenting. So make sure you guys check it out. Join us here next Monday at 7 p.m. Central for Paranormal Pride Radio. I'm not sure if the Paranormal Pride's actually going to have a show next week because of the holiday, and my son-in-law's traveling. So we will figure it out, but we'll let you know. So see you guys all later. And thank you, Natalie. Would you like to tell everybody where they can find you before we say goodbye?
Facebook's the main one for everybody to find us. We've got a website, but you can just search for Darkly Obscured Paranormal Investigations. We have a TikTok, we've got Facebook, we have YouTube. You can usually find us across any of those platforms.
And yes, Donna, tomorrow on Facebook, on Paranormal Nation Radio on Facebook, or Paranormal Nation Radio, Born, which is Bill of Rights Network on Facebook, on Rumble, Born TV on Rumble. A lot of times we do the Tuesday show right on Paranormal Pride YouTube page. So check those out if you want to know more and I got it wrong, which could be happening. Let me know and I'll tell you where to go. That's my favorite part of every job I have, is telling people where to go. So and I'm good at it. So, but thank you guys, and see you here on wherever I'm at on the Paranormal Pride on. I'm listening to stuff in the background. I'm sorry. I'm distracted. Paranormal Pride Radio, as well as Bill of Rights Network. We are so glad you came tonight, and see you soon. Bye, everyone.